Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Shield Hero, Season 4.
Yep, Shield Hero, Season 4, Episode 3. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the Dojo, and you guys want to know what I looked like all last week? That. Right there. It's still happening. This is going to be me until further notice. That's just my default state, is Naofumi's resting bitch face at this point. That's where I'm at. It is absolutely madness, and I hate everything about it, but hopefully we can get the hell out of here at some point in the next episode or two, because you know, there's a phoenix and the waves, you know, actual problems. Not saying that this isn't an actual problem, but man, do I hate it. It's just one of those things. Once again, I'm not a fan of situations like this. But on the plus side, Atla has had enough with this and has literally put her hands down on the table menacingly and is going to tell people to get bent. So I'm looking forward to her rant. I'm hoping for a serious rant. Bare minimum.
You will respect Naofumi.
Pretty much. So, either way, we had that poisoning event thing that Naofumi orchestrated, all that stuff. So hopefully they can get that vote and get out. Probably, yeah. But either way, I don't have too much more to say about this whole situation. I just want to get on the boat and go deal with Raftalia's problem, so we can get back to the actual stuff. I know they're panning this off as, oh, the other heroes are still recovering from the curse. And it's just, yeah, okay. What's his name? Just not really having any freaking problems. He's off on the countryside with his not Philos, so
well,
he didn't get cursed.
Yeah, he got screwed over by bitch back in season 1. He didn't get screwed over the freaking like the rest of them.
Yeah. So slightly different situation. But either way, we're here. I'm just looking forward to hopefully an outlaw rant here. It's gonna happen. We had that whole like kind of like throwaway line that she had last week about like, oh, they beat me there. It's like, in case anybody forgot, I mentioned it last week. She was constantly trying to get into Naofumi's bed, literally, not figuratively. And then that one time she succeeded. So it's established. It's a thing. But
yeah, we still don't fully know what her whole obsession with Naofumi is, just beyond the fact that, you know, he healed her.
Yeah.
But she definitely has a very clear obsession with him.
Right. So, anyway, that being said, we'll get this started here and hopefully get the hell out of this town. So, people on Patreon will set up the timer stuff for you in a second, and people on YouTube will see you on the other side of the edit for the discussion and review. So, here goes some. Well, alrighty then. There you have it. Stayed in the whole pretty much the same place the whole episode, minus this little bit here with the king in Melromark and this little flashback to what happened. Which, well, props to them for just getting straight to the damn point and not sitting on this for like half the episode. Because I was just thinking to myself, please do not tell me we are going to get a flashback with the king and all the staff nonsense, and that's going to take up half the episode, so we're going to be over there in Siltfelt for another episode. But no, they got it done in basically the couple minutes, and we were good. And it got everything put out there that needed to be put out there. You know, we talked about a lot last season with the staff stuff, so this pretty much pushes that narrative further forward. So that's cool.
Yeah, we had it established last season that the former king is the wielder of the staff. And then with his like history with the White Tigers, it very much seems like that either Foal or Atla is going to be the next staff wielder.
Right.
Originally, we were saying Atla, but with how much of a combat savant Atla has become, it's probably going to be Foal with either of them, because Foal is nowhere near on her level combat wise, so he'll probably turn out to be more like Sage Mystic, one of the two.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. We were talking about during the reaction there too, as well as in case anybody is wondering why this whole situation is going on. We talked about it in the reaction. They're still married. He's just not king. It's not like she tossed him out or anything like that. She's still married to the guy. And his transgressions weren't technically as bad as his daughter's. So
yeah, he was in support of the daughter, and also, was ostracizing the shield hero because he's just another one of those people who's prejudiced against the shield hero. But he wasn't directly responsible for most of the things that were happening. But yeah, he was still stripped of his position and his political power and stuff like that. But once again, they're still married. She didn't divorce him over it or anything like that. That's part of why he's still living in the castle.
Yep. Just walking around in the tattered robes and the shell of his former self, living with his past mistakes. Though it was a war, which he did say was a mistake, but at the end of the day...
the way he worded it is it's kind of a thing of yeah, we were at war and I was supposed to win, but then I kind of took it too far. And that's the reason why the White Tigers are hated so much today, because it was such a massive loss and folly on their part. That's what most people take it as.
Right. So we got that. We assumed that there was something with the White Tigers, obviously, but we got it confirmed in this episode that they were pretty much the de facto major political faction, leaders of that. So
they were one of the 4 prominent species in Silkbelt, and they went to war with Melramark, and then the king, back before he was the king, when he was still just the staff vassal wielder, absolutely just destroyed their entire army, and it made them lose all of their political power because of just basically how much he overkilled the situation.
Yep. So either way, it was nice to get that and not have it just take up the majority of the episode. But the majority of the episode was Atla on her soapbox and us in this room. So we got exactly what I asked for, pretty much. So I guess I really have zero right to complain. But yeah, just more politicking. There's not really a huge amount to say about it. We got the random panda chef guy, and how it was the two-way street between Jarlath, being the one to, he kind of got pushed into doing the poison thing by Naofumi, as that was his plan. But it's kind of just one of those things of the shadow puppeteer, hey, I'm trying to get you to do this thing. And Jarlath being the kind of guy that's just yeah, maybe I should do that. I totally should do that.
Yeah, it's just kind of a thing of Jarlath is the one who poisoned everyone, but Naofumi orchestrated it by constantly pushing pressure on Jarlath's faction and continuing to just go along with the Suzaku guy's plans and stuff like that.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, as we saw here with this whole situation, was everybody doubts Naofumi because he was summoned to Melramark. Once again, Melramark cheated. That was the whole thing with that, was each nation was supposed to get one hero. Melramark was supposed to get, I believe, the sword guy? I believe that was their hero, was the sword guy?
No, I believe there was Okayasu, the spear guy.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, Silkbelt is supposed to get the shield hero. Melramark, I believe, was the spear, and I don't think we ever have gotten exact confirmation as to who was supposed to get sword and bow. But we know that they were all supposed to be summoned by different nations.
Yep.
When the wave started.
So yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, he can't be the true shield hero. He wasn't summoned here. It's like, I mean, I don't know what more you want. You want to try to take that shield off his arm? He can't. I'm pretty sure that's proof enough as it is. It's not his fault that Melromark cheated. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those.
Basically, Jarlus' whole argument here isn't that Naofumi isn't a shield hero. It's just that he's basically trying to play the argument of he's not a true shield hero, and that like basically trying to go full Holocaust denier and basically saying that the waves aren't actually happening, and that while Naofumi is technically a shield hero, he's not a true shield hero. That Melromark summoned him when there wasn't actually a reason to summon him, just because they would have like political power or whatever.
Yep. But either way, I don't know, because I assume the waves hit everywhere. We've gotten no evidence to the contrary, so I don't know how you could possibly deny stuff that's happened twice already.
The waves are like isolated in specific locations from what we've seen, because that's the whole thing of like the heroes have to go to that location and defeat the boss and stuff like that. But yeah, the monsters themselves can go wherever, but as long as the heroes keep it isolated, then it doesn't get out of hand. Kind of like dealing with the freaking gates in solo leveling.
Yeah, I suppose.
Basically, as long as it's contained on site, then it doesn't have a chance of becoming an actual outbreak.
Yep. But either way, supermassive politicking, and then we got the Elder here, which fairly classic. There's always going to be that like retired guy that, you know, gave up his political power to retire, but is still going to have massive sway with different factions because he's still alive and is allowed to have an opinion, and, you know, was a prominent figure. So if he just like shows up in the room and, you know, all of a sudden The Rock has come back to WWE, people are going to be super excited about it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and everyone's going to immediately take notice as soon as it's a situation of enough importance that he's taken notice.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, this pretty much played out about the way you'd expect it to. I know during the end of the reaction there, I was mentioning that, you know, oh man, we're getting the tropey, oh, let's settle this over a duel situation, which I'm kind of surprised that I didn't even really think about. But honestly, let's be real, you guys. I was too busy focused on getting the hell out of here and not really concerned on how we got the hell out of here. So, I just want to go on the boat, man. Is that so much to ask? It's probably too much to ask. We're 3 minutes from Crunchyroll kicking me out anyway, so can we just get on the boat and go?
Yeah, like I said, I figured this duel was coming because it's something that's very common in any sort of like feudal or fantasy setting. It's just like, well, might makes right. If we can't possibly come to a civil agreement, then someone's gonna have to throw down. And once again, we in the OP we see Jarlus and Cole fighting each other.
Yep. So, yeah, we get duel in the middle of the palace. I mean, we had this earlier with Dress Up Darling. It's like, who just walks into somebody's house and opens their closet? You know what I mean? Who the hell has a duel in the middle of just here? You know what I mean? Just who is deciding this crap? Because Age mentioned it in the end of the reaction there, is like, we've seen Atla punch through the freaking Emperor Dragon. I'm pretty sure she could take out every wall in this building. Jarlus probably can as well. The Minotaur guy, Foal too. What are we doing? Why are we not outside?
Yeah, we don't really know what Jarlus is capable of. The Minotaur guy is probably going to be fairly strong, but once again, he's up against Atla, and we already know Atla's busted, even for only being like level 40. She's capable of fighting things way stronger than her, because her freaking fighting style is not only just very skill and dodge oriented, making it to where, once again, if you can't hit anything, it doesn't matter how strong you are, as we brought up in Sakamoto days last week. But also, her key move is that she does bonus damage based on how resilient you are. She not only does true damage and ignores your defense, but she does more damage the higher your defense was. So fighting stronger opponents is just something that she is inherently good at.
Yep. And nobody's going to tell me that Minotaur guy doesn't have a reasonably high defense. He's a Minotaur. Okay?
Mhm.
Even if he's sitting there with a two-hand axe, I don't care. Generally speaking, the Crunchyroll... Wow, it was even before 12 minutes this time. It heard me talking shit, so it went early. But generally speaking, Minotaurs are very, resilient, just generally speaking. So they're the kind of monster that, like, stereotypically has, like, regeneration. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, in a lot of fantasy, you typically don't see Minotaurs wearing a lot of armor because typically they have a high natural armor where, like, their hide is very thick. So, like, even with it's basically like even without armor, they're basically wearing very reinforced leather.
Yep.
Even without any sort of actual defense.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's a situation where them wearing armor would technically be a detriment to them because then they wouldn't be able to move around as freely. So it's not worth it.
Yeah, to a lesser extent, it's like darkness, where like her armor she wears is pretty much entirely just ornamental and serving her whole like per the, well, if the armor gets destroyed, then I get exposed kind of thing.
Yep.
Because once again, she's stronger than any of the armor she actually wears.
Yep.
Which is the like that whole like universe's excuse as to why like a lot of times she gets hit, she loses her armor. It's because the attacks are strong enough to damage her armor, but not her.
Mm-hmm. So either way, as a random aside, props to this guy for altering the deal after the deal was struck by just, oh, by the way, when we win, you have to marry my daughter. And well, now Naofumi knows how freaking Kazuma feels.
Well, if he loses at his whole thing of having to stay in Siltvelt and be totally loyal to Siltvelt means he's probably going to get stuck with the harem anyway.
Yeah.
So he will probably have a lot of arranged marriages.
Doomed. Totally doomed. But we all know where this is going. It's going to be one of those things where Atla's going to one-shot the Minotaur guy and then turn around and just be like, well, I'm just going to stand here and let full fight until he loses. If he loses, kind of deal.
Yeah.
It's going to be the classic one-on-one stuff, and why the hell would we use teamwork to win a team-oriented fight? It's kind of like the Z Fighters. Oh man, Yamcha, Piccolo, and Krillin all got murdered. Now Goku and Vegeta go in there.
Yeah, basically the whole thing with this, like, full bit is so that we can get a bit of more development of full, and so that there's actually some tension to this fight, because, once again, Atla's busted, and if it was just Atla versus Jarlath, even with us not really knowing what Jarlath is capable of, it's still very unlikely that there would be any sort of reasonable fight between the two of them.
Yep. Still, once again, I question this venue. It's large, we can see from this angle shot here, even with the Minotaur being a very large and imposing figure that they usually are, he's not taking up much of that hallway where he's standing. So it's a pretty large room, but you can't tell me that there isn't going to be some collateral damage in a very nice ornamental space. It would be a shame to wreck this place, but here we are. It's one thing to have a duel in this place, like if you're fencing, and it's like, oh, I poked you, I won. Not fully throwing hands with probably spells and abilities that can knock out mountains. Just saying. But we're playing flashlight tag, it's probably okay. But, touch football, you could probably get away with it. But I don't think they're doing touch football.
No, Atla's doing touch football.
Well, yeah, she's doing touch football, technically.
She walks up and just fucking 1-inch punches the Minotaur and he's gone.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Either way, it was okay. You gotta appreciate staying in one room for the whole time. I do appreciate them going it back into, even if it was brief. I'm glad it was brief with the king stuff. We didn't really need that to be a huge whole like half episode aside thing, but it was still important information to get out there that we talked about from last season. So I'm glad they touched on it even just minimally, which was enough. It wasn't like it was a bad amount of it. We got everything out of it that we needed. He would confirm he was the staff hero. He screwed up the whole White Tiger situation and feels bad about it. That's it.
The only things we really need at this point to continue that plot thread is, once again, one of the siblings to inherit the staff from him, and we still don't really know what his connection to their parents was. Like,
Right.
all we know is this, that he knew their mom, but we don't know to what extent or whatever. And it's like, that's how we recognize Atla, was that she looks a lot like their mom.
Right.
Just with the White Tiger aspects, because once again, the mom was human.
Yeah. Because once again, your blood matters. That we talked about dated concepts and stuff like that in My Dress Up Darling, and this is another one of those things. It's like your opinion is invalid because you're not a pure blood. It's like we're doing this still, really.
It just occurred to me because I was saying that thing with the mother. We talked about this like before the episode. We've talked about it last season and stuff like that. The whole thing of like the siblings, despite being like level 40, not maturing. The maturing thing, that's a demi-human thing. They're beast folk. The whole thing of like the maturity being based on their experience.
Right. So it probably works different from them since they have human blood.
Well, not necessarily that they have human blood. It's like they're beast folk. They're a different race than demi-humans. Demi-humans are like Roctalia, where they're like humans with inhuman features. The siblings are beast folk. It's just since they have a human parent, they look more demi-human than like Jarlus, who is full-blood beast folk.
Right. Otherwise, they would look like the White Tiger guy that we saw rolling around town there.
Yeah, the White Tiger guy was right there next to Naofumi. He's he's a pure blood White Tiger, and he's full beast folk.
Yep.
The reason why they have humanoid features is just because they're half-blooded. But yeah, that was. We don't know if beast folk share that same maturity trait as the demi-humans. That was only established as a demi-human thing, and that's probably why they haven't matured like Roctalia did.
Right.
Which
tracks. So either way, duel next time. Real bummer if they lose the palace, but maybe there won't be collateral damage. Gage said Allah's probably just going to one-punch the Minotaur guy and maybe not put him through that door back there. But that looks like one of those classic doors that you get punched through. So, or Sokka tries to kick down and can't do it because he's not an earthbender. So, anyway, that's all I got for this week. It was okay. I can live with it, but I'm still not a fan of it. But this was like Atla the episode, so props to her. Got anything else, Age?
No, not really. Beyond just the big thing being like that beast folk revelation of like. So, to be fair, what the misunderstanding for that is, we never really had a major distinction in previous seasons that demi-human and beast folk were two different things. This story
until this politicking nonsense of two sides of the table.
Yeah, this story arc has very clearly, though, established that beast folk and demi-humans are two different races with different traits and characteristics. But pretty much all the stuff we've seen prior to this has just been demi-humans.
Yep.
But yeah, this is actual beast folk at the table and like showing that they are actually an entirely different species, a race and whatnot that probably has different rules and would explain why Pabla and Full, despite being in their 40s of the level, have not suddenly matured the way like Roctalia did.
Yep. Well, alrighty then. Ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube beyond, however you're watching, we always appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night The Shield Hero Season 4, Episode 3. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.